So
yeah, and the research, one of the things on the paper, it talks about that women who have those groups that they can talk to in the community that they can go through, that are more positive about the idea of menopause. And I know, Marie, you've said, hey, this is almost exciting, like going into this phase of our life. It's going to be things we got to struggle with, but it's exciting that we can get our health on track and share this with other people.
Like I do. I feel incredibly positive about it, but I'm not going to lie. When I went to that Reddit group, I was like, you guys are not spreading the hope.
Welcome to the Bloom Era. Join Marie, Michelle, Vita, and Michelle, 4 lifelong friends, on our journey through perimenopause. We'll share our stories, insights, and laughter as we embrace this new stage of womanhood. Let's bloom together. Why am I so nervous?
Welcome to the Bloom Era podcast. Me and these lovely Bloom ladies, we are on a program right now that we created a couple months ago called The Pause. And so it's a pause challenge where we are challenging ourselves to be more intentional and build and do better than you did before with certain habits that we are pretty confident are going to create just healthier versions of ourselves through perimenopause, into menopause, and into old age in general. And so we've got 7 different habits that we've been building. And today we are talking about community and the importance of community as we get older and as we age. And so Shelly is going to talk to us about community.
All right. Yeah. So as part of our pause, we put community on there. And to do that, that was basically just reaching out and interacting with our communities. And why that's important is because during perimenopause, a lot of the changes that happen are in your brain and in your like with the all your hormones, as your estrogen drops, it affects your other hormones as well. So like your cortisol and your happy hormones and things like that. But as your brain is changing, you have mood swings, feelings of isolation, anxiety, depression, and those kind of things. So community helps you not feel isolated. It helps you have an outlet for those feelings that you're having. It helps you not feel like you're going through something alone or like the only one suffering from something. So a lot of studies on just community and aging in general. I found information on that, not a whole lot as it relates to menopause, but just in older people in general. And there was one quote I found that talked about people who were healthiest in their 80s were happiest in their life at 50. So they had good communities. They were happy with their husbands and their spouses and their family, the community that they had built around them. They had good ones when they were 50. So by the time they got 80, they were still healthy. And the ones that were not happy at age 50, by the time they got reached 80, they were not doing well health-wise. So it does help kind of improve your physical health by maintaining kind of that good mental health. So I did find one blog about the community with perimenopause, and inside that they talked about what they called menopause cafes. And I looked up what that was because I was like, what's this? But in Ireland, I guess people were feeling isolated going through menopause, so they kind of set up these meetup groups, I guess, kind of like where they would just have these random meetings where you'd go to and talk about how menopause was sucky for you that week, I guess, It's like support groups. So they still do them, and you can request to host them and things like that. So it was an interesting
Might be
find.
Starting one here in Middle Tennessee.
Well, I feel like we kind of have. I mean, we've got us. We have our podcast, and then we started a Facebook group, which that's kind of our online menopause cafe.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and it talks about hanging out in person is really good. But if you don't have that and you can't do that with your community, then going online is the next best thing, just to, again, not feel that isolation and to not feel like you're suffering through these feelings alone, that they are normal. And I was like, a lot of times when you have a health condition, whether it's menopause or anything, comes up, we go to Google to say, am I what I'm feeling? Is it normal? Is, am I the only one suffering from this? Is that weird? And it makes you feel better, even if it's not good news, that you're not the only one.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, it's kind of how we started meeting in person to talk about this rather than just to hang out, is because Marie sent our group text, a little like, hey, is this normal? Are you guys going through this too? So like that makes so much sense. I love that.
Yeah, so it just helps kind of those depression and mood swings. You're already going to be kind of grouchy. So just to have that community that's willing to support you through that and understand while you're being grouchy and accept you even though you are being grouchy. In the end, it'll help you kind of pass through that phase, I think, a little faster.
If you think about it, or, you go through some big changes as a woman, and one of them is like puberty. And during that, you're in school. So you're in a community in person all the time. And we weren't like necessarily talking about our periods and stuff, but we were there and we were talking about stuff we were going through. We were talking about crushes and how we felt. And, we had that community. And I remember being a new mother. And my husband was active duty military, so I didn't have the same community. I didn't have family. I didn't have like friends who have known me my entire life. And that was so isolating, like going through that anxiety and the depression and just like the all-encompassingness of being a new mom. Like, and I just thought that was like normal. And I'd kind of operated like that, until we moved back home. And then I started seeing you ladies again. And it really helped my mental health so much. Like, I just kind of thought like, this is just, you just do everything on your, and like, we still text and stuff. It's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't like we weren't being intentional about our text or about our community. Like, we were still in contact, but it wasn't an intentional thing. So like moving back and having this intentional community is like so good for my mental health and about helping me feel like me again.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, ladies.
Aww.
And I like,
Well, we're glad to have you back.
Yes.
So there has been some research that shows too that people who have that social group they are more physically active, which we've already learned and talked about physical activity and getting moving and keeping our muscles working. So that helps with that. But it also has shown that you will have less severe depressive and other menopausal symptoms.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And like you were talking about like some of the research with like just aging, like the blue zones or whatnot, that's a big factor. That was like one of the common things that they found about within all these blue zones is just having a community. And I think it does help you like be more active, even if it's just getting up and out of your house to meet somebody for coffee. That's better than just laying in bed all day, which if you're depressed and have no friends, it may be what you're doing if you're older and have nobody to hang out with. You're just in a nursing home in your bed all day.
Yeah, I kind of think back to COVID. People got depressed during COVID because they weren't getting out and meeting up with friends in person and things like that. And, now that we're back to doing that, we are, having, happier times,
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's not like a walking session or going out to run, just getting up and getting dressed and having a purpose for the day, I think goes a long way.
It lends itself to health and mental health. And it doesn't have to be a full-on workout session.
Yeah, it's not saying your community has to go to the gym together, but I mean, you can.
That would be, that'd be fun.
But just having a purpose, moving your body, getting out, getting ready. Yes, I absolutely see that.
I think community is so interesting. And if it's because I feel like a lot of it's like being Southern, like a lot of us didn't move away from, I know you moved away for a while, but you came back and your family's all here, like, we're very woven. I don't know. So because I feel like all of us, we're all still very close to the families that we're from. Like our personal families, we're close to siblings and parents and things like that. And then we're close to each other and we've been friends since middle school. And like that, I don't know. I just sometimes feel like we're very blessed. Like, there's an abundance. And I also think a lot of, I know there's like that idea of, chosen family. And I feel like we are in a way chosen family, but I don't feel like we put the stress on each other. Like, you're my only family. Like, I feel like, like I don't have to carry the weight of, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, so our friendship gets to just kind of be a friendship, not, that we're very, because we have really solid family support behind us that kind of allows us to just enjoy being friends. Like, I'm not putting I feel like sometimes in other contexts, like other friends are like, well, they weren't there for me completely and fully. Like, you put a lot of pressure on your friends, and
that's true.
Hurts the
We've
friendship.
We've never a high pressure friendship. Like, it's never been like, oh, you weren't there when I.
And so, I don't know. Maybe, do y'all feel like we have, right? No,
I feel like we've got a low maintenance friendship.
Yes. And it's such a good thing.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
I consider that.
I'm never worried like, oh, I don't respond to a text, or, oh, I should have been there for that, or should have said something. Like, nobody, I don't think any of you guys were like, Michelle, I just can't count on her. Because she doesn't respond to text for 3 weeks.
Right.
Well, that's who I am.
Yeah, maybe that's a piece of it. Like, is it better to have kind of like I know that everybody's like, yeah, keep your friend circle small, but can you have a bunch of small circles? I feel like that's what we have. Like I've got my sisters and my family, and then I've got my little family, and I've got y'all, and I've got like other little friend circles. I mean, maybe it's healthy to have like,
I guess like all those little circles are kind of like Venn diagrams. Like one doesn't do everything for you, and they don't both do the same things, but some things may overlap.
Yeah, I feel like some people might just get overwhelmed and they're like, well, I don't have friends my age. I don't have anybody. And then they might like feel overwhelmed. Like, well, now you're saying I have to have all these groups and I don't have any.
Yeah.
So I think like just having people, and it doesn't, I think the point is you don't need a person to be everything.
Yes.
Like you don't need even your family, even your partner, even your spouse. You don't need them to be everything. It's just humans, we're social people. We live for these community events where we're together, and so it doesn't have to be one person or one group is never going to be your everything. And if you expect it to, that's too much pressure.
Yeah,
I think it's what you're kind of getting at.
Yeah,
but it's not saying like, oh, if you don't have 5 groups,
circles,
like any group's going to give you something, you know, like, and
so, if they can carry one of your bags, then it's one less bag you're carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and finding people you can just have nice, healthy conversations with is a good thing. Like, and so, like, I think that's it. I think some people think, I think people would even look at us and be like, wow, they've been friends since, they were 12. They must have, done everything together and, like, we just don't, I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm not bringing you soup when you're sick. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know how
like,
much that's just us either. That's just how our friendship works.
But I don't want that's like to portray like, oh, you guys like, we're like in it together, arms locked. Like, we're very intentional about it's because of Shelly, like getting together and like being around each other and, celebrating holidays, that kind of stuff. But we're not like, like if Vita's kids are sick, we're not like, hey, let's go clean our house. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not, and I think so we've there's a fantasy out there of that's what female friendships should be.
You see that online. And I've actually seen people post things like, oh, I'm just looking for mom friends, like, because they want to like mother together, like they want that they want like sister wives community. And that's not what we are for each other. We're not raising our families. Our families get together and we have fun, but we're not raising our families together.
True.
And maybe that's what some people want. And I think maybe just find the type of community that works for you.
Yeah.
But like for us, what's worked really, really well and why we've been able to maintain friends for so long is because this is how we work together. We're friends first, and then like our families are all, they all hang out.
Yeah.
But we're not all one giant unit together, and we don't have to do everything together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we respect everybody's differences, like we were talking about, like how we all raise our kids differently, but it's not a judgy kind of like, you do it the way you want to do it. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, as long as we're not like abusing, like
right.
If I ever saw Marie like abusing her kids or something, then right. But if you're doing whatever it is you want to do, and I feel like we respect each other's differences, and there's no need to like be homogenous. And I think that's what's worked well for us too.
And I don't know if it's because we're friends from so young or what it is, but we are very different people. We have different values and goals and different ways of raising our children, but we're never have thought one way is better than the other. Just one way works for my family better than the other. Yeah.
And I have seen things that y'all have done that, like I know, we talked about how you taught your kids how to pack their lunch a healthy way. And I liked that. I haven't done it or anything, but right now I'm just struggling to get them to pack their lunch. But, I did have a conversation with them about what protein, carbs, and vitamins were. But so just taking some things, even though that's not the typical kind of way my parenting thought would go, I liked that aspect that you had done. So I pulled it kind of home.
So if people don't have, like when we do this challenge, part of the challenge is to reach out for community some way every day. So what we talk about is it can be, you can text your friend group, you can get in person with somebody, you can talk to your sister, go have coffee, you can post on social media and reach out for a group there. So what do you guys think are some good ways? Say they're not lucky like us and don't have best friends from middle school. What are ways to reach out to try and look for a community?
I think definitely interests are a good place to start. Like, I think you've gotten involved politically in our community since you've moved in. I think just finding people that are going to, like we're homeschoolers. I'm very intentional about finding other people that homeschool like us so we can, I took 2 sips and I'm throwing things around.
Such a lush.
But, But yeah, I think, just really thinking about yourself and like, not to, hey, love everybody where they're at. And then I'm like, now go find the people that are exactly like you. But I think it's a good starting point for like, even not, and like I said, I'm like, all these friendships don't have to meet all the needs, but hey, I need somebody that I can bounce this specific part of my life off with. Like a lot of the homeschool moms that I'm in community with, we have tons of huge differences. But, in this one area where like, I know it's a very accepting community for my kids and, we get to relax a lot being with them. And so even though we don't agree on tons of stuff, I'm like, this is a good place for us. And like, hey, we can get nutrients and support from this in that way. But I don't need them to also be my, they're going to come, like, I keep saying it, but like, come clean my house when my kids are sick. Like, that's what my mom is.
I think she really wants somebody to come clean her house.
No, but I think people like get into this idea of like, oh, community has to be like a sister wife situation. And it really, like, I feel very fulfilled in our friendship. And it doesn't even come close to a sister wife situation.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at all.
Yeah.
But,
I was like, no.
Yeah, nobody wants that. But, I just think, especially people who don't have lots of friends, I think that's what we're doing for each other. And I'm like, we're not. Like,
No.
But we feel very
But you
fulfilled
get a
with-
lot out of it, even though like just being
I
intentional
love just
about
the text that we send each other. Like Shelly called it pebbling the other day.
Was that Shelly or you? I thought it was you.
It wasn't me, it was Shelly.
Oh.
But yeah, but this whole idea of like we're bringing memes to and everybody does that, I feel like now. But I love it. I love getting the memes and the reels from everybody to be
And
like.
I like it because you guys don't get all hurt. Like my husband, he's like, "Oh, did you read that thing I sent you?" I'm like, "No, I haven't watched that video yet."
Yeah.
But you guys do not get hurt when I do not. So.
Exactly.
I think another place that's common for people to meet people, I don't because I don't go, but church is a common place. But then, kind of like the interest meetup groups. If you like knitting, join a knitting circle. If you like tennis, go to the Y and try to play tennis. So whatever is something you personally like, I think trying to find a way into that community.
Yeah. And it
help
is
you reach
hard.
out
Like
to
you do have to like, because I've moved into a lot of different communities and you do have to kind of put yourself out there. And I tell my daughter, because I'm not a planner by nature, I'm not the one who's like hosting big parties or planning big get-togethers, but I'm always willing to go. So I'm like, find a planner. Like if you make friends with a planner, that would be our Shelly, then like things will happen. Like, so if you always have like a planner in your group, then just you'll
latch
go
on for good life.
Even if
But
you
you
do
do,
these activities, you might just find one person that you connect with, and then one of the two of you is going to have to be the planner, or you may have to switch the role back and forth. But you will have to.
Shelly telling us to start planning stuff.
No, I'm saying if it's a small, like a one-on-one kind of person,
But with the four of us, you'll keep planning.
Yeah, for the four of us, I'll keep us going. Hey, Marie started this right here, so
Shelly's like, I'm getting more than my fill.
I'm good now. But
Yeah. And like, so the school events or
I was gonna
whatever.
say,
That's where
school. Something like the other parents' friends. I mean, another parent. Like, was it your kids? Like, they make friends, and then we end up kind of being friends with their parents.
because you have to plan the play
'Cause,
dates.
you do the play dates, which isn't bad, and they're
No,
kind of
it's
low
great.
maintenance friends too, because we basically come in with the same kind of need. We want our kids to play, but we want to be, connect, kind
Right.
of.
Yeah.
But it's not like, let's get together every weekend.
Yeah.
So
But
that's
sometimes
been
you
a
meet
good
friends
spot.
like that. Like in El Paso, I met my best friends, the ones who invited us over for holidays because we didn't have family, through my kids' friends. So like I can.
Yes,
More
That's
You
how
can,
actually
yeah.
my husband, he's has become really good friends with one of Bodie's like football friends. They just connected and whatnot. So I mean, that, and then we're friends with our neighbors.
like my husband, that with the neighbors, like when he's cutting the grass and
Yes.
stuff, they talk about fixing the grass together.
Yes.
I'll say, and that my 13-year-old daughter went to a new school this year and she went in the 7th grade and school starts at 6th grade. So she came in with this attitude like everyone already has a friend group and I don't know where I'm going to fit in. And I was talking to another mom and her daughter felt the same thing. Like, oh, everyone already has friends, and like these kids are sitting there. So I know like even when my kids went to new school and you're going to events, like you're like, oh, everyone already knows each other. But sometimes you just have to talk to people. Like everyone is like, and it's hard. It is hard to like talk to people, but sometimes you have to be intentional. And I guess I don't think about it from like, oh, this is good for my longevity standpoint or my mental health standpoint, but it really is. Like even people who feel like they're more introverts, nobody's an island, so you do need people. So.
Yeah.
I'm going to go check on these children.
Okay.
Like, I know you don't need, like, you need less people, Shelly, than I think probably the rest of us do, but you still like.
I'm, like I said, I would struggle to try to make new friends. So that's why I have to keep you guys, because I am not brave enough to make friends with the person at the kid school event thing.
Yeah.
Because I have conversations in my head before I have them in real life. And by the end of my conversation in my head, I'm like, they thought I was so boring and that they wish I'd just go away. So I'm like, well, don't need to have that conversation because they didn't enjoy it.
Well, does Matt help with that? Because my husband's more
He's the same as
social.
me.
Okay.
Is
I was
he
gonna
really?
say.
Yeah. So
My
we talk to
husband's
each other.
400 times worse than me.
Okay.
Like, he is like, if I am a little shy, he is
more shy.
Yes,
Oh,
he is.
okay.
not like going up to new families or whatever.
Well,
So,
that's interesting. Well, luckily, I can be a bit shy too, or just like you say, everybody has those self-conscious, like, well, what if they don't want to even talk to me? Like,
Yeah.
why am I bothering? But my husband's kind of like, there's no harm in saying hi. And I'm always kind of like, okay, good. So he's kind of like the one that's kind of like,
I've got the
making these
mental
new
list of all the
friends.
harms that it could be.
Yeah. I'm like,
But
but
what
if
harm
they're
is there?
busy?
Yeah,
I love how
there's-
Marie said, she's like, I put my weird out there, and if they don't like my type of weird,
Yeah.
they don't like it.
That's
Like, there's
true.
not. You're in no worse position. It's easier for me to say this. I'm not like going out and making tons of friends or
Yeah.
whatever, but it is important to do. And sometimes you do just, well, you don't have to. Like, if you already have your community, you don't have to go out there.
That's true.
But
I feel
and
like
I think
that's part of
another
it.
way too, a lot of people are making friends online too, and then that can translate into in person. They're like, oh, actually, I live in the same city, so then you can have like,
I mean, that's how I met Matt.
yeah, exactly.
How many of y'all did you guys meet online? No.
No.
You were in
we
person?
we met through a friend.
Okay. I didn't know if.
So did we?
Yeah.
Oh, we
Was
went
it-
through them.
Shelly, you introduced or you and Marie
Yeah.
introduced
Yeah,
her to Jeff?
Yeah.
met
Well,
him
I was driving through to go back home from like fall break or something, and we met at Steak
up
and
at-
Shake,
Oh.
and he was with them.
and
No.
he fell in love. Like, I can still.
Not instant.
It was. It was love.
It was pretty
Aw.
quick.
It was
like
very
the next
quick.
day. He's
Yeah.
like, so
So you
what are
guys
we-
describe. This is how they're like, hey, we're meeting our friend at Steak and Shake. You want to come? They're like, she has blonde hair and a big butt. So he thought I was like fat. So they're like,
Somebody said fat.
and I had like orange hair at the time.
I guess
because
we
I dyed my hair
forgot teeny
orange.
tiny waist, which is what made the
You
big
did-
butt so.
You did forget the small waist with the big butt. You just said I had a big butt. So. She's like, the butt's not
That's all we
that big.
cared about.
Like Kim Kardashian before Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyhow, so I had orange hair and I was not fat. So his mind was
Yeah.
blown, I guess.
I was like, who is this?
They set you up for success. See, because
Yeah, low expectations. Low expectations.
Had they been like, she looks like Britney Spears, he would have been like, y'all.
are you stretching?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you do?
Thanks, guys.
Look like,
You do
but
look like
you do
Britney
look like
Spears,
Britney Spears.
though. That's why I said it.
Better than Britney Spears. Britney
Love
Spears
you,
is
Shelly.
kind of crazy now.
Yeah, like the younger
Yeah.
Britney Spears.
Good
Yeah.
Britney
You
Spears.
guys keep talking. This is why you need community.
I say, and if you are like me and don't like the in-person stuff, and say we like with our Facebook group, like you can interact there. And I think social media started off kind of going that direction, and it's turned crazy with the meme people. But
But they're still good.
but there's
Like,
still groups on there
and
that
I
are
know-
supportive
do
groups.
you guys, are you active in, or do you follow any Facebook groups that you get? Like, I follow a few like workout program groups and stuff, and I get a lot of good information from there. I'm sure you do homeschool groups or.
Yeah, I mean, so I run a pretty big Nashville Unschool group, and
Humble Marie.
I know, but it is pretty big, and people are always like joining it. Like, I clean it out because I'm like, none of y'all talk, because it is very annoying when you are running one of these groups and like 6 people talk and there's 300 people in the group. But I want to be a place for, like, this is where unschool stuff happens. This is where, events we're doing, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I don't go to a lot of other groups though. But yeah, I definitely am.
But you're still
active
kind
on
of that board for people to talk about other places
and I'm
to go.
not
Yeah.
like the center of it. Like,
Right.
it's just a board like I run, but yeah, so we can all like talk and share and be a resource for one another, especially because we are weird. Like, there aren't a lot of us. So it's a very like,
Matt started a
important
music group, and I'm in that. I'm one of those that just lurks
Right, you
most
get
of the time.
kicked
Every
out,
now and then I'll post
Like music
something.
interest or musicians or.
It's just called the Music Jam. But so yeah, they just post a cool song by an obscure artist that you've never heard of, or post a song that was like a classic back in the day that you haven't heard in a while. So just kind of sharing
Oh,
music.
I love
and
that. So
then-
that's just like what Marie was saying. Like, find people who have an interest that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was in another one, and he ended up just starting his own for some reason. But he's still friends with one of the people from the other one. And like that guy's dad was going to be coming through town and was talking about maybe we could meet up, So it was just some guy he's never met before,
So if anyone is looking for an online community, we'll put a link to our Facebook group there, and we just talk about perimenopause and menopause stuff. But
I wonder if we could do a meetup eventually.
Oh yeah,
that's a great
that'd be
idea.
a lot of fun.
Maybe a quarter.
like a menopause cafe.
Yeah.
But without going through the menopause cafe people.
Yeah.
And I think online, I think it, definitely used to be very like, no, that's not a real friendship. That's not a real relationship. But I think it's very valid. Like if you find people online that, especially as your interests and, whatever you're looking into gets more and more obscure and like, there isn't a large group of we care about hormones or something. I don't know what kind of groups are out there, but like it's important to find people who kind of have that shared journey with you, even if they're not next door, even if you can't meet. And I don't know, like, and I guess because the internet does feel so much more real life than it did even 10, 15 years ago. Like it's just it's a valid way. I think people dismiss it, especially our age, because we're on that cusp of like,
You need to meet in person.
You need to meet in person. And so, I mean, I think you do need to meet in person. Like it's so valuable. Like, and it's, it's like getting fiber from a chia seed versus fiber from a scoop. Like it's still fiber. Like, and so, is it better from a chia seed? Probably. But getting it from the scoop is also valid. And I think that's what the internet is. And yeah, I'm excited to see our group online grow and just, and like you were saying, like it feels lonely and your brain feels lonely and you're just so much more prone during perimenopause towards depression and anxiety of feeling like I'm the only one that's like, because if you don't have a lot of like going through the same, like the shared experience of perimenopause, like if for whatever reason you don't have a lot of friends in your age group, you'll feel incredibly isolated and like, because I think you do feel like you're going to go crazy. And like I've been on the Reddit boards for menopause and it sounds terrible. I mean, we're at the beginning of this journey.
Wow.
I'm like, this isn't getting better.
Wow.
Like people are like, I'm losing jobs. I'm doing, and you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like things are, because they're getting, I don't know, I may be so anxious. Maybe, I don't know what exactly is causing work problems, which terrifies me. I'm like, it could have, like I can, if it destroys my home life, I'll be okay, but don't take away how I make money.
It's scary though, because at
yeah.
that point you have been, not most people, some of us took 15-year breaks from our career, but most people, like, you've been working towards your career forever. You're like, should be towards the top of your career, and for it all to go because you can't manage your symptoms or you don't know what you're going through or how to manage it. Like, and I feel like talking with, like, I think about my 13-year-old and I'm like, I can give her grace because I'm like, okay, her hormones are going crazy. Like, this is not like, but I feel like society as a whole doesn't do that to women in their 40s and 50s.
No.
And we don't do that to ourselves either. So I think if we did that, if we're talking to other people and you're like, oh, I'm not going crazy. My ears just do itch, or like I'm just like ragey for, like maybe I need to make sure I'm getting my nutritional goals and like take a breath and like this will pass. Like,
yeah.
I think
and then hearing other women are going through it too it is a relief. It makes your body relax. Like
when
I don't have to be
you're
on
not
high
crazy.
alert.
You're like not being like, am I gaslighting myself? Like, am I the only one doing this? So
And the research, one of the things on the paper, it talks about that women who have those groups that they can talk to in the community that they can go through, they're more positive about the idea of menopause. And I know, Marie, you've said, hey, this is almost exciting, like going into this phase of our life. It's going to be things we got to struggle with, but it's exciting that we can get our health on track and share this with other people.
Like I feel incredibly positive about it, but I'm not going to lie. When I went to that Reddit group, I was like, you guys are not spreading the hope. And they one girl on there was like, I really, probably sounded a lot like me, like, this is such an amazing time for a new blah, blah, blah. And they ragged on her. They were like downvoting and like, you've not experienced it. Like they were mad that she was trying to be hopeful. And I'm like, maybe, if you got too far into it and you felt too alone and you felt too isolated, like you can't see anything other than bad about it. So I feel like that's like, we're on the front end of it. Like find some friends, find a community that's feeling generally, because I feel like we're going to keep each other positive. Like, I feel like we're on the lifeboat, like, and we're floating. Like, sure, you could let go. Like, it could go bad. I'm not going to be dumb, but more than likely we're going to all at different points be able to say, hey, I know you're feeling like extra wonky,
right.
but let's, I don't know, probably
We'll
not.
make it through.
We're going to make it through and like, it's going to be okay. And like,
And sometimes just having that outlet to say like, oh, I was so annoyed at my family. And, you're like, okay, like, yeah, you feel
we've
like
all
just
felt that way. Like,
just
I'm not a
having that-
monster.
Yeah,
Like,
just having that to know there's an outlet outside of yourself and outside of work or your family or
to do that. But I think it's so important. I'm thankful for you guys for sure that, I feel like we're extra blessed, but I don't think what we have is impossible to have with another person.
I agree. And that's something I think is important. Like, yes, I know like we've been friends for a long time and that is maybe not as common, especially with how much people move around and stuff, but that doesn't mean you can't find a community. And you can find a community online, you can find a community in person, you can, there's ways to find a community. And just like going through perimenopause is a change, and it's like any change is not easy. So if you need a community, like putting yourself out there might not be easy, but in the end, you can bloom and it will be a good thing.
Or we can be your community, right?
Exactly.
You guys can be our friend,
Yes.
a part of the podcast,
Yes.
ask questions through the comments and stuff like that. And
Exactly.
hopefully Marie's monitoring that
No.
and getting back to you. Who's monitoring that? Who's actually being friends to our friends online?
But yeah, I think I am answering you.
Yeah, so we
talk about coughing.
I say we've only had one or two comments, but
Right.
Marie did respond to them. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so no.
Well, thanks for talking about community, Shelley. I think that's part of why we included it in this challenge, because it's not like a 75 hard where it's like all about just working out, and like it's part of it is setting yourselves up for this next stage of life. And all the research about, like you said, the blue zones, the longevity is like you need community is so important. So like work on that now, and that will be there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the perimenopause is not all physical. It's significantly a good amount of it is mental. So that community is going to be the medicine for that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Good deal.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Awesome.